It's okay to change your mind and then maybe even prefer something that you didn't care for at first over the original thing. It's actually kind of liberating. You know, for example, I was a PC guy my whole life. You know, it's like PC, all I know is PC. Macintosh, I had friends who were into Macs. I was like, I try to get into it, I can't. You know, the mouse has like a one button thing. I don't know what's going on. Until I was able to get a MacBook and I could use that for editing. Perfect. And then once my friend kind of walked me through a few things, was like, well, here's how it is on PC and here's how to find it on the Mac. And once you get into a few things like that and you see that the Mac can do things maybe a PC can't do, it's actually kind of nice. And I can still use both. I mean, I use my PC for everyday stuff, I use my MacBook for editing. One can do things that the other one can't on the fly, which is fine. And on the flip side, I went from having an iPhone to an Android, and I got used to the, you know, one way or another just fine. This analogy may be a little bit more out there, but this is what I'm talking about because when I started, I was all about the PlayStation, and now I prefer Xbox, and that's okay. And I still love my PlayStation, don't get me wrong. It's just now I game more on my Xbox. I've said this story a couple of times in other videos, but the abbreviated version is I had a PlayStation 1 and I absolutely loved it. By the time PlayStation 2 rolled around, then we had the original Xbox. And I bought the original Xbox day one. I grabbed that with Halo and some Shrek game and something else too. I forgot what the other third one was. And after playing it for a couple of months, I really didn't play it anymore because all of the other games I would get were on the PlayStation 2. I ended up trading my original Xbox and my games at Game Crazy and used that store credit to get a Game Boy Advance SP. Now, if I still had my original Xbox, it'd probably be in a box in the closet. Here's the Game Boy Advance SP that I traded for it. I still have it and I still use it. Still use it all the time, actually. PlayStation 3 rolled around, I was familiar with it. The Xbox 360, wasn't too interested until the Kinect came out, and then I bought one because my kids would have a lot of fun with it, which they did. And then, of course, once I had a 360, then I grabbed a couple of games that maybe I missed out on, but not a lot. Same story with PlayStation 4. I grabbed that day one. The Xbox One I got via a trade because I had a friend who didn't want theirs, and I wanted it just for Rare Replay, but I didn't want to pay for an Xbox One just for Rare Replay. And then once I had an Xbox One, great, I can play Thimbleweed Park, I can play Cuphead, those exclusives that came out for it originally, but would eventually be on other systems too, so whatever. And same story for this time around too, because I was interested in the Xbox Series X or S. I figured I'd get the S only because I didn't really get a whole lot of physical games like discs for the Xbox One, so I was like, well, if I'm just gonna use it just for, you know, for downloading games or for review games, you know, they just send me the code, then the S is all I need. But I figured I was gonna do most of my gaming on the PlayStation 5, and when I got my PlayStation 5, that's really about it. I use it for that. And again, not a whole lot of exclusives yet for the PlayStation 5. There's a few of them out there. You know, Ratchet & Clank just came out. There's a few of them out there. Paying a little bit more money. I'm 98% of the time will never buy a AAA title day one because I can wait, and the price always drops after a few weeks. And also on my side, I don't play a whole lot of AAA titles to begin with. So many of my games are like indie titles or games that just look fun, but they're not like that high price, you know? So here's PlayStation 5, something I'm already familiar with, but the PlayStation 5 menu kind of threw me off. It's not as easy to navigate as like the PlayStation 4, for instance, at least in my opinion. I'm that age where I literally had my 14-year-old child show me and direct me how to close out of a game on my PlayStation 5. It's that level now where these things are happening. I'm okay with it. I love the fact that they do this more than I do. Because they use the PlayStation 5 for, there's a few games on there that they like, you know, there's Minecraft, we have that. And there's a few other games that they play on it, and they also use the PlayStation 5 for like YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, you know, Peacock, what else do we have? Amazon Prime, I guess. And yeah, I can use all that on the Xbox. But another thing about Xbox, and I didn't really talk about this, is batteries? You had to use batteries in the controller? You never had to do that for PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation 2 was corded, and I don't mind corded controllers, but PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, now the PlayStation 5, it's the batteries in the controller, you just charge it, you know? I love it. I would do it often. I have a little charging station and everything. And it's when I realized, like, wait a minute, every time I get that, yeah, you can charge it on the system, but I usually end up just getting like a little docking thing. Why don't I just do that for the Xbox? So I did. So now my Xbox controller doesn't need batteries, has the charging thing. Why didn't I think of that? I know, back in the day. Here I am knocking on Xbox for having, you know, you have to like literally put batteries in your controller, which will go dead after a while, right? I remember doing that for the Wii. In fact, I got a charging station for the Wii too. So I got a cheap charging dock for the Xbox Series S, and I'm good to go there now. But what gets me, I think I'm saving money at the end of the day, because instead of buying all these great titles, like for the PlayStation 5, when I have my Xbox Series S, which yes, you can also purchase games digitally, but with Game Pass, just about all, I don't know about all, but just about all, most of the games I ever want to play on it are available on Game Pass. So with that Game Pass subscription, I'm taken care of. And after E3, all these games, that like, 27 out of the 30 games that they showed are gonna be day one on Game Pass as well. It's like, I'm good. That's all I need. Now, I do have PlayStation Plus, and that gets you a couple of games every month, and that's actually not bad. I'm okay with a couple of games a month. That's about all the time I have for. And I can redeem them whether I download them or not. As you should too if you have PlayStation Plus. Whether you play it or not, at least redeem it because you can download it later. And you talk about a back catalog. So many of the games I kind of wanted to play, I wanted to see, check out, but didn't really want to pay for. I'm able to play now because of the catalog and how big the library is on Game Pass. I'm literally playing Batman Arkham Knight for the first time right now. And I love it. Why didn't I play it earlier? Well, at the time, a lot of games looked like that. And I was just like, yeah, there's that. Gotta be honest with you, I'm gonna get some heat for this. I'm not the biggest Batman fan. I love the Batman villains. The Batman villains are everything. And I like the Batman animated series. And I like the movies too. I like Batman stuff, just the Batman character. I'm just like, I'm not as sold on it, right? But I love the villains. And this game is very, very cool. I know I'm just now playing it for the first time. I want to talk about it. It's like a 10-year-old game or something now. But that's the beautiful thing is I can go back and check out these games, and so many games I have checked out, downloaded, looked at for 2 seconds, and be like, okay, and then just delete it, and then make more room to download something else. That is the hard part with the unlimited capacity. There's only so many games you can download at a time. But the more I'm downloading these games, playing them, going through Oblivion again, and I played Oblivion on the PlayStation 3, but the load times on the Xbox Series S, way faster. It's like almost a new experience for me. And there's always new things popping up, and then I'll look up something else and I'll say, hey, this is this game that came out a while ago, and I was, oh, I forgot all about that. I was gonna play that, didn't get around to it, and so many great indie titles that I have people recommending to me, and I think about indie titles, 5, 10, maybe 20 bucks, maybe 30 bucks, But for the most part, I play a lot of them, but I don't play all of them. And now I'm able to at least check them out, at least for a moment, see if they're my thing. And oftentimes they are. So it's okay to go out of your comfort zone and get out of your box and say, and even if you're an Xbox fanatic, and I have some friends who are, that is like, PlayStation, not even gonna worry about it. And it's like, well, at least pick up the controller. At least look at it. Maybe do the little haptic things. I'm not a big fan of those, but some people are. Maybe there's something on PlayStation that you can't do on Xbox. One of the other reasons I loved my PlayStation 4 was I could stream to Twitch. Now I have my YouTube channel, obviously, but I also love streaming on Twitch, and a lot of people don't know I stream on Twitch. In fact, almost daily when I stream on Twitch, somebody will pop up in the chat saying, I didn't know you're on Twitch. It's like, yeah, I stream when I can. I don't have a schedule, but I stream when I can. And with the PlayStation 4, there was a stream to Twitch button. So I would do that for the most part. And you can also stream to YouTube as well, sure. Now you don't get the fancy alerts and stuff like that when you do like the PlayStation and all that. But now that I have my streaming set up through my computer, I can stream anything now. So not just PlayStation, but I can stream my Switch, old school, like retro stuff as well, and including Xbox. And maybe they do, and I just haven't looked into it. But if they had that easy ability to stream to Twitch through the Xbox flawlessly, then I probably would have been all about that, especially back in like the Xbox One days and stuff like that. I would have loved to have streamed Thimbleweed Park when it first came out. There's nothing stopping me from streaming it now. I just love Thimbleweed Park. Look at this, I haven't even have the mouse pad. And maybe that was the deciding factor. Maybe it was I loved my PlayStation because I could stream easily, which I did, and still do sometimes too, especially when I'm playing something on the PlayStation. I don't get the fancy alerts, but it's easy to do. It's convenient more than anything, especially when I was trying to figure out a stream setup and all that. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing with the OBS and the thing and the whatever Nightbot stuff. I don't know how to do all that. I'll just hit the stream, Twitch, go. And it works. And now that I'm not tethered to that for streaming to Twitch, I can stream anything. Now it's like, well, I can just play whatever I want to play. And this is just Xbox and Sony. I mean, I still have my Switch over here too. And I played... I was playing Eagle Island recently. And I still play this pretty regularly as well. In fact, I play this a lot. And also, never mind my Oculus Quest 2, as I'm a huge VR gamer. But when it comes to this generation of consoles, with the Xbox Series, the PlayStation 5, I guess would you put Switch... I mean, Switch is kind of its own... I mean, Nintendo is always kind of carried along in the middle of other things, however that goes. So I don't know if the Switch or whatever the next Switch is going to be, if that's going to be part of this new, with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series and all that, as well as the Oculus Quest 2. And VR gaming is almost in its own completely other category. It's just like, there's soft drinks and then there's energy drinks. Well, there's like video games and then there's VR gaming. It's kind of a similar thing, but its own thing, For the first time ever, I prefer Xbox over PlayStation, and that's okay. However, until the PlayStation VR 2 comes out, then you'll hear me do a complete 180. I'll be like, never mind by Xbox. I'm all about that PlayStation 5, PSVR, And I'm looking forward to that. It's going to take another year or so to get there, but we'll see what happens when that time comes. If you're new to the channel, of course, I've also talked about my thoughts on the PlayStation 5 6 months later and the Xbox 6 months later, so you can check out those videos in the meantime. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you again soon.